Okay, so this is lesson 7.6, and we are going to be solving equations with rational functions. So we're going to be solving equations. You're going to be trying to figure out what x equals, just like what we're used to, but what makes these functions special as far as what makes them rational functions? Well, the thing that would make these rational functions is that they're going to have problems that are like 1 over x plus 1, minus 3 equals 1 over x. So essentially we're going to be solving problems where the x's are on the bottom. And you guys are going to quickly discover that if the x's are on the bottom, we cannot solve the problem. So the first step is we've got to figure out some way to get the x's off of the bottom of these fractions. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a case here. So we're going to look at 2/3 plus 4 over x plus 2 equals 2. Okay, and the easiest thing to do when you guys are dealing with these problems is to just get rid of the fractions altogether. And the way that we can get rid of these fractions altogether is to multiply everything by our common denominator. Okay, so we're going to look back or kind of think back to lesson 7.2 where we went over how do we add fractions that look like this. And to add them together, we would have to get a common denominator. So we would have multiplied this side times a 3, same on the top and bottom. And then on this side, we would have had to multiply it by an x plus 2. What the heck? Okay, so to multiply this side, we would have to multiply it by an x plus 2. Okay, sorry, not sure what happened. So essentially when I would do that, my common denominator that I would get for these would be a 3 times x plus 2. So we are going to take that common denominator that we found, and I'm going to multiply this entire thing up here by that common denominator. And what you're going to see that that does is that is going to essentially eliminate all of the denominators that we have up here. It's going to allow a bunch of things to cancel. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that then. So I'm going to take my entire problem up here by the common denominator, which we just found was 3 times x plus 2. And I'm going to multiply the whole thing by each of these. Okay, and so this is a lot of work to show, and as you get better at it, you won't need to show all this work, but just to show you guys what we're doing, I am taking 3 times x plus 2 over 1 times 2/3. Then plus, I am taking my 3 parentheses x plus 2 over 1, and I am multiplying that times 4 over x plus 2. Equals, the last thing that I have to do is I have to multiply, because it's everything, 3 times x plus 2 over 1 times 2, which, if we're doing fractions, is just essentially 2 over 1. Okay? So I took everything up there by the common denominator. And remember, our goal with this was we're trying to eliminate all of our denominators there. So that includes the x's on the bottom. So when I try and multiply, and I'm just looking at this little group right here, when I'm trying to multiply that little group right there, what can cancel? Remember, we can cancel diagonally, so my 3's would be eliminated. And I am left with an x plus 2 times 2, which we could just write as 2 times x plus 2. Okay? And some of you guys might want to go ahead and distribute that. That's up to you on if you're going to do that. Okay? Now I'm going to look at the next group. I've got this group right here that's being multiplied. So I'm trying to find things that I can cancel. Again, we're trying to cancel on the diagonals. So here, I notice that they both have an x plus 2. So I could cancel that x plus 2. And I'm left with a 3 times a 4. And again, some of you guys might just go ahead and write that that is 12. Okay? And then last, I've got both of these over 1, and that's honestly just kind of redundant because they're both over 1, so I'm really just multiplying this here. Okay, so that's 3 times x plus 2 times 2, which again, another way that I could write that is just 3 times 2 times my x plus 2. Okay, But by multiplying by that common denominator, I have essentially eliminated all of that stuff up there. Okay, or I've eliminated all of the denominators up there. So now we're not dealing with fractions anymore. We're just solving our normal equations. And that's going to make it a lot easier. Okay, so things that I need to do to simplify this. Well, 2 times x plus 2, yeah, I can distribute that. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6. So it's really a 6 times x plus 2. And again, that you guys might think that step's redundant. You can do that step quicker if you want to, but we need to distribute to get rid of those parentheses. 2x plus 4 plus 12 equals 6x plus 12. Okay, combine my 4 and my 12 here. That's a positive 4 and a positive 12. So that gives me a 2x plus 16 equals 6x plus 12. Okay, I could subtract my 2x over. So now we're just doing our normal solving stuff. Subtract my 12 over. So I've canceled the x's over here. I've gotten rid of that 12. And now I have, so we'd have 4 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and you get that x equals 1. So the big new step, oh, that was supposed to be an eraser. That obviously didn't work. That big new step is just that step right there in the middle. And just keep in mind that stuff is the only new thing. The rest of this stuff, you guys know how to solve equations like that. The only new part of it is this part up here, okay, where you're distributing. And I would definitely show all those distributing steps. Okay, so let's try another one that's very similar to this. I got 5 over 24 minus 2 over x minus 3 equals 1/4. Okay, so again, we're trying to get that common denominator. Now, I do have 3 fractions here. So if I was trying to get all 3 of these fractions to have the same denominator, well, the first thing is I could multiply that 4 by 6, right? So I could have written this as 5 over 24 minus 2 over x minus 3 equals 6 over 24. Okay, because I'd have to do it, if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the bottom as well. So the reason that I'm showing you guys that is these two actually would just have the same denominator, which is nice for us. Okay, so it should be a little bit easier to see that if I was going to add these together, this one would need an x minus 3. This one would just need a 24, which means I have to have it up top. And then since this one already has a 24, I just need an x minus 3. So now we can see that all of our denominators, if I was working to get that common denominator together, the common denominator would be 24 times x minus 3. Okay? So we're going to have to multiply everything up here by 24 times x minus 3. So everything up here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those 6's. Everything up here is going to be multiplied by 24 times x minus 3. So I want you guys to pause the video at this point. Pause the video and try and multiply and see if you can get everything to cancel out correctly on your own. Okay, hopefully you guys have paused the video on this here. So I'm going to show you guys the steps for canceling. I hope you guys tried this on your own here. We have our 24 over x minus 3 times 5 over 24. Okay, minus, I've got 24 times x minus 3 over 1 times 2 over x minus 3. And that equals 24 times x minus 3 over 1 times my 1/4. Okay, so that's showing how everything should be multiplied together there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what I can cancel. So here on this first two, these first two here, I've got a 24 and a 24. So those will go away. And I am left with just a 5 times an x minus 3. Okay? On my next one here, the next pair that I have right here, I have a 24 times an x minus 3, and the bottom is an x minus 3. So I could get rid of those x minus 3's, which leaves me with a minus 24 times 2, because there's still that 2 left on top. And again, you guys could just go ahead and do that in your head, 24 times 2, but that is entirely up to you. Okay? And then my last one here, I've got 4 and 24, so there's a slight trick to this. I can only take away 4. So if I take away 4 from 24, I am still left with 6, because 24 divided by 4 gives me 6. So I have 6 parentheses, x minus 3. Okay? And now we're just going to solve this problem here. Okay? We got rid of all the denominators. 5x minus 15 minus 24 times 2 gives me a negative 48. 6x minus 6 times 8 is 18. That's a 5x minus, so that would be 53, 63. 5x minus 63 equals 6x minus 18. Now I'm just trying to get my x's together, so negative 5x to cancel that there. Do the same to the other side. Positive 18 to get rid of that 18 there. Positive 18 on this side. So 63 and a positive 18. Well, it's going to equal x. Now I just got to figure this out. So 13 and 8 would be 5. 5 and 1, so x would be 45 in this situation here. So our x value for this situation is 45. Now on the next slide, we're going to show you guys a little bit more complicated ones, and get excited because that means we get to factor. Oh yeah.